Hey, one thing with the bubble and without the fans, we can hear like the defensive calls a little bit better. I'm just picking up in the audio, and obviously you've been so vocal on that end, but it's now a little bit more clear. Vogel had talked about that. You're always like that. We can just tell a little bit. So I wondered, LeBron, at what point in your career, when you got in the NBA, did you get that comfortable with all of the coverages, and how has that evolved to the point where you're at today?
I'll probably give a lot of credit to Mike Brown. He came in with a defensive mindset, with a defensive strategy into Cleveland when he got the head coaching job, and told me, that he wanted me to be just as good as I was on the offensive end. He wanted me to be even better on the defensive end. And it started with a lot of communication. So, when I wanted to take that next step in my career, because I wanted to get better and I wanted to compete for championships, I started to take that leadership as far as my communication, being loud, speaking calls out, getting into the film session a little bit more, diving into that. Mike Brown was very high into watching film and breaking down our opponents and breaking down personnel. So, give a lot of credit to Mike Brown on putting that type of pressure on me, which I loved, and became who I am today.
Hey, LeBron, it's Dave. I know you're process oriented and kind of take things as they come. I just wanted to fast forward just a tiny bit to wonder if you could describe the thought process or the emotions or whatever you may feel shortly before tip off on Thursday.
I have no idea. Obviously it's a different circumstance. It's different. It's different. I mean, that's what 2020. People have been asking me. Like I said, people have been asking me how was the bubble, and I said it's 2020. Everything is different, and you have to be able to adjust to it. So, I don't know as far as if it was like a home game at Staples Center, they won't have that feeling because our fans just give us so much energy. Our fans give us so much support, and we want to try to give that back to them on the floor. But also at the same time, we know our fans back in LA and all over California and over the world are looking forward to seeing us play again. So, it's still our job to go out and perform because they're still supporting us behind their phones or tablets or TVs or laptops or whatever the case may be.
Okay, we'll take a couple here. Joe Barton.
Do you think, because, especially when you get into playoff time, you put the phone down, you kind of zone out and really focus on one thing. But with all of this stuff going on and everything that's different, we've talked about it over and over, do you think you can actually focus on finishing a regular season and getting into playoffs and winning a championship like you would in any other year?
Yeah, it's definitely going to have a different mindset and a different feel to it. But I won't be turning my phones off during this run. I can't afford to. I have to continue to check in with my family, every single day. Checking with my mom, making sure, everything is still going well, especially in the uncertainty of what 2020 has brought to all of us. So I can't afford to do that and just lose direct contact with everybody. So, but I'll be, as locked in as I can be under the circumstances. I won't cheat my teammates. I won't cheat our fans, and I won't cheat myself. So I'll be ready to go.
Kyle Goon, please.
We've heard you a couple times in practice saying 1, 2, 3 Mamba. I know you said one of these times that you think of Kobe every day.
Mm-hmm.
What's the importance of that ritual, and are there some other things you guys do as a team to kind of keep him close?
Well, that's one of them for sure. But every day, you see what's wearing our Laker gear. The Lakers franchise is not what it is today without Kobe's presence. Obviously, along with some other guys as well, and people who, in the office. But Kobe's presence, his legacy is here every day. You put on purple and gold. You put on a Laker, apparel. You think about basketball in general. Even before I became a Laker, his legacy was cemented. So, and I had the opportunity to play with him not only in All-Star games but with the Olympic team multiple times. So it's just a day. If you're a ball player, if you like the game, if you play the game, even if you don't even play the game, you're just a fan. There's no way you can't think about Kobe on a day-to-day basis.
Tanya Ganguly.
You mentioned checking in with your family every day. Is this going to be the longest period of time that you've been away from them?
It all depends how long we're going to be here.
What's the longest period of time?
Longest period of time being without my family, probably an Olympic trip, probably like 30-some days. Yes, this will probably be the longest.
So what are the conversations like when you guys get on FaceTime or on the phone? Are there things that you were able to do over the last 4 months that you're now trying to replicate over?
Nah, there's nothing that you can do to replicate time presence. There's no way you can do that, but the communication can always be consistent, and the leadership can always be consistent, and that's one thing I've always had control over. But you can't replicate actual presence when you're waking up and you're in the living room or you're in the kitchen or you're outside playing with your kids or playing with your daughter or playing video games with your boys or working out with your boys. You can't replicate that. I'm not there. So, but Savannah is a beast at what she does, and that's controlling the home and just being that rock for our family. So I'm not worried about that. But you definitely you have that miss factor where you miss your family, you miss your kids, and things of that nature. But I thank Steve Jobs a lot and the team at Apple for having FaceTime. Because that's a beautiful thing to have, especially during times like this.
It seems like younger kids have had the hardest time with like trying to understand this. Like, is Zuri, did she have a hard time understanding?
No, because she's still young. I mean, she's 5. She know I'm not there. She asked me the other day when you coming home, things of that nature. But she doesn't have like understanding of like numbers and how many days in a month or if it's 2 weeks that pass. She just know I'm not there. My boys have more of an understanding of that.
Tanisha, next 2.
Brad.
Thank you, Tamisha. This is Brad in LA, LeBron. I wanted to ask you, when you first found out about Breonna Taylor's death and how it happened, how do you process the way it happened?
Well, I can't process. It's too hard for me to say how to process the way it happened because I wasn't present. I can only go off the facts of what happened, and I kind of put myself, in that household with them coming into the house, a place where they shouldn't have been in the first place, and then open firing and killing an innocent woman who had a bright future. So I think about, if it was a sister of mine, if it was my mother, if it was an auntie of mine, or if it was a friend of mine, and then you think about, just the landscape of what we're in right now, where police brutality is going on, has happened so much over the last, I want to say the decade, because now we're seeing it because of camera phones and videos and things of that nature. We know it's always happened. I mean, you take it back to the 90s, obviously, with the Rodney King beating, and that was over a video camera. But because of social media and because of the phones and technology, everything is so rapid fire and so instant that you're able to see it. And I said it I don't know if it was the last time I did a presser or the time before that, what do we need to see a video of her actually being killed for something to actually happen with the officers who committed this crime? And I've spoken to a lot of people in Louisville, and they're irate, they're sad, they're angry, they're disgusted with what's going on in the timetable of what's happening. So I feel for her mother, I feel for her family, and anyone that had any association with her in her community. Her coworkers that probably saw her every day and seen her smile and seen her talk about not only her presence in the world but her future. It's a life that's gone too soon, out of nonsense and out of just pure act of violence.
Last 2 questions, Bill.
Hey, LeBron, this wasn't going to be my question before, but I'm curious, who have you spoken to in Louisville, and what has been your process of reaching out to that community?
I can't really tell you my source or who I've been talking to. I really don't want to bring their name up. They want to stay anonymous, and I'm going to keep it that way. But I got some friends and family that's in Louisville, and it's not that far from Akron, Ohio, to be honest. So we've always kind of had people that, go through Kentucky, go through Louisville, go through Lexington and things of that nature. But they just, they won't help. They won't help on getting justice for such a queen and Breonna. So like I said, we will continue to put the pressure, and hopefully the Attorney General down there will see what's going on and do what's right.
Last question, Melissa.
Thanks, Tanisha. Hey, LeBron. Sorry to change the subject, but I'm curious. You did a podcast back in March talking about how when you stopped playing, your body was like, what's going on? I'm curious just sort of what your body's thinking now with the season about to restart, where you were now versus then, just kind of how that process was for you.
Yeah, it was like it's a restart. You know, it's like I'm restarting the engine. You know, you're right. You know, my body was wondering what was going on because I was right there where my body started to get into fifth and sixth and seventh gear into the playoffs, and then it was just a complete shutdown. And, you know, so I'm kind of just gearing my body back up, and you know, the 3 preseason games helped. While I played in 2 of them, I was able to train yesterday before the game, and then these eight regular season games that we have here will also help on getting my body where I need to get it to going into the playoffs. So I'll be very smart listening to my body. You know, our coaching staff and our training staff have always been smart and want to, you know, have open dialogue with me as well. So I'll pay attention to that, understanding that, you know, it's still a marathon with these next 8 games, and then we get to the sprint once the playoffs start. So I just have to be very real with myself, be very real with our coaching staff, and real with the training staff if I have anything that's going on from a physical standpoint. But I've done a good job of trying to just keep myself in the best possible shape during the quarantine at home, you know, and just to prevent anything, if anything was to happen while I'm down here in Orlando.